and I would love to tell you some of the top news stories that I think are buzzing, buzzing, buzzing today. It's Friday. Hold on, let me turn on this light over here. And I think that some of us are just kind of going, what is in Donald Trump's head? Yes, we are all thinking the same thing. If you are logging in from anywhere in the world and you want to tell me where that's at, put a comment in the underneath the description of this video. I would love to know where you're logging in from. Also, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe to my channel, click on that subscribe button. It is free, and definitely let me know what your thoughts are on all of the top stories while we're chatting this morning. The other thing that I wanted to make sure that we are all aware of is if you haven't had a chance to head on over to my community tab, if you're subscribed to my channel, sometimes you're getting the notifications that I've put different things in the community tab. Recently, I've started doing kind of a daily, on the weekdays, daily articles that you might have missed. So if there's anything that you are, wanting a different sort of news source from, maybe you've seen all the stuff that's on CNN, you've seen all the stuff that's on MSNBC. I'm trying to pull different sources like from Reuters, AP, Variety, Hollywood Reporter. I actually have one in there yesterday from Country Living about Dolly Parton. I believe somebody's going to play her on Broadway. Like, there's so many different things that are happening. And so if you're looking for more news that might, hey, Amanda, how is Florida today in California? Like, right now I live in LA, and we were just looking at the news, and I think it's going to be about 75 today. So Florida, because of your humidity, I'm going to say it's going to feel a little bit more like 90. So you'll have to tell me what your weather's like in Florida, because we have some sun today. Like, I went outside in my sweater and I was like, I'm clearly not dressed appropriately. But what I was talking about is the community tab. If you are subscribed to my channel, head on over to the community tab, because I have a lot of different stories throughout the day that are talking about, like yesterday, I was talking about the new Golden Globes category. They've added best podcast. So just curious little things that I find, I'm posting in the community tab. Another one was the protests that were on the UW campus the other day. There were protests on the Columbia University campus. And then I do a whole sort of like rundown of articles that you might have missed. So Calvin Klein just hired I believe they just hired a new CEO. Amanda says 78 and rainy for the next 4 to 5 days. It feels like the high 80s with the humidity. Exactly. My hair would be like in Florida. So I hope you can brave it, because obviously if you moved to Florida, or if you were born and raised in Florida, you are like, your blood is made for that sort of weather. I used to live in Las Vegas. My blood was very thin. They say that people who live in like the high desert or in the desert have thin blood, and they can sort of like weather the weather. So I'm sure that you can handle it. I would go to Florida right now and I would just be like, just walking out of the shower, just instantly sweating. We lived in France last year, and basically it's a little bit the same. I would say that it's not necessarily, how would you say? It's not necessarily the same sort of walking out of your apartment or your house and being like, of like the hot air, but it's definitely in the summertime stagnant. Like, it's just this sort of like air that definitely has going on. Okay, get her done in the comments says baddie alert. Okay, I don't know if you're talking about me, but I will take the compliment. Amanda says, yes, I love the humidity. It's my secret to no wrinkles. See, there are benefits. There are benefits to all of these sort of weather-related events. I actually used pasta the other day as my sort of like deep cleaning. When you pour the pasta to strain it, I literally like took in all of the steam. Anything to make sure that we are trying not to age in the infinity sort of numbers. Okay. Something that I wanted to show you. This is on the profile for KCAL News. The reason I wanted to show you this is because a lot of people are feeling the strain, whether it's through the tariffs or different sorts of things, but this is very interesting. So I screenshotted it from KCAL News on TikTok. It says, new figures released by the California Department of Housing and Community Development show that low-income eligibility for affordable housing is surging. Now, if you live in a major city, you probably have something similar to this where you can apply for this sort of low income housing and be eligible to live in different places that might not be so affordable. Okay, so it says in some California counties, even a six-figure salary qualifies for low income housing, for the low income housing program. This, I can feel it, okay? If you haven't had a chance to just like look at the sort of real estate in your area, the urban areas specifically, the housing market, especially in California, is ridiculous, okay? The fact that you can have a six-figure salary and that still makes you qualify for low income programs for housing is astonishing. So I have to give you the next shot. Okay, just look at these figures, okay? In San Francisco, Santa Clara's low income eligibility level for individuals jumped 8.8% from last year to $111,000. Like you are considered low income if you make six figures and you live in San Francisco. Astonishing. Okay, tell me what you would consider low income in your area in the comments, because this makes no sense to me. It makes a lot of sense in the sense that I live in California and prices for housing are astronomical, okay? In Sacramento, and I think it says El Dorado counties, a $72,000 salary now qualifies you as low income in a one-person household. $72,000. Now, I remember when I graduated from my undergraduate degree in college, most people were getting out and they were making $30,000 in their first job, okay? And that was considered $35,000 in their first job. That was with a college degree, 4-year degree. That was considered like, sweet, like we can do this. We can find some sort of housing and we can make it happen, right? That $72,000 for a single person, I don't know what job is giving you that as a 4-year college graduate, let alone a high school graduate that maybe can't find those same jobs within these areas. Like, and I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but I'm just saying that the ability to get that job that's going to put you in this bracket or even this bracket, I had to show you guys this. Let's see. Everyone pray for the peace. I definitely am with you. I'm trying to read these comments here, so bear with me as I jump around. Is it Mind Shritha says California and housing. Yeah, LOL is right. If you make 100K, you're considered the 15% of the US population. Top 15% is considered low. It's astonishing. Let me show you the next screen. It says for Los Angeles, which is where I live, the low income level jumped to $84,850. You are low income if you make $84,000. That's twice of what, maybe even almost even 3 times what when I graduated, that would have been the job that you would need to have. Like, it's mind blowing. Okay, now let me show you a little bit more. They go into the breakdowns, okay, of all of the different counties. Like if you might recognize Napa, you might recognize Fresno, a few of these other ones. Obviously Los Angeles, where we live, 92,000 for San Diego. Riverside, which is just east of us, 62,000. A lot of the houses are way more affordable the further east you go. But still, then you run into Nevada and you get into Las Vegas there. Monterey, 81. Like, this is low income. That's crazy to me. The last one has San Francisco at 109. And then Santa Cruz, you might recognize, 111. My sister used to live in Santa Cruz. She moved to Florida. Yes, she used to live in Florida, Amanda. And then she Solano, 76,000. Siskiyous, this is way up north, is 52,000. That is even, I don't understand how 52,000 is considered low income. That's like, if you have 52,000 for one person, like, I feel like you should be making it. But let me give you some other things that I found, because I was like, let me just use my fingers and Google it up. In 2024, so this is what I was trying to find out. What would be the poverty line? Okay. The single person's poverty line in 2024 was 15,000. Okay. And they're saying low income for San Francisco is 111,000. And for Los Angeles, it's 84,000. But poverty is 15, okay? For a family of 4, 31,000, you're in poverty. So the breakdown, and let me show you this: single person, family of 2, family of 3, family of 4. For family of 4, which is me and my husband, our 2 children, if we make $31,200 in 2024, this is just last year, we would be considered at the poverty line, okay? But for housing, 84,000 in Los Angeles is considered low income. I can't even imagine. 84, that's like over double the poverty line, okay? So I can't even. This is why I wanted to show you this. This other one says that the median, because I wanted to know, like, what's considered middle class, right? The median income, according to Pew Research Center's definition, is between $49,715 and $149,160. Middle class, you have to be making $150,000 at the top end and $50,000 at the bottom end. But low income for the state of California is in the 84,000, right? Right there in the middle, we are considered low income. We're not even considered middle class at this point. And the poverty line is well below the middle class, right? But it still is not gonna get food on your table. It's not gonna get you a house. It's not even gonna get you a decent apartment. Like, I don't even know what people are thinking. But I wanted to bring this to you because people think that, like, everybody who makes $100,000 is just chilling on that 100 grand. That 100 grand in California means you're low income. What? I don't know what's going on. If you are just joining us, definitely drop down in the comments. Let me know where you're logging in from. I know Amanda said she's in Florida. I'm not quite sure where everybody else is from. I live in Los Angeles. Let me know. Miles says, you have to work to get money. Absolutely. I'm just saying that the housing market is not matching up with how much people are making. The housing market is way up here and people are not getting paid for the job, and the salaries aren't increasing with the housing market increases, okay? That's what I'm saying, is that this is never gonna line up. You're never gonna get up here as long as it keeps going up here. All right, so there's a lot more that we need to talk about this morning because, okay, so let's get to some like interesting news. Okay, Bill Gates, he's ending his foundation. They're kind of winding down the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I believe that he's wanting all of his foundation's money to be distributed by 2020 or 2045, okay? 20 years from now, all those millions, billions, trillions, whatever he has grossed, or whatever he has brought in from donations, he is saying we need to distribute, okay? But he also is talking about Elon Musk. Okay, Bill Gates was not at the inauguration, okay? I believe his company did donate to Donald Trump's inauguration, but he was not there physically. And I don't know if he was invited. I'm sure he was probably invited. If he wanted to be there, he probably could have been there. But he was one of the ones that was not, who is one of the sort of tech billionaires, right? Bill Gates accuses Elon Musk of killing children with Doge cuts. Now, there's much to be said about this, but in this sort of quoting that they were doing, billionaire philanthropist Bill Gates is finally saying what he really thinks about Elon Musk's Doge shattering the U.S. Agency for International Development. Quote, the picture of the world's richest man killing the world's poorest children is not a pretty one. I mean, there's a lot of things that Bill Gates has done that have been really, really beneficial for people around the world, in addition to people here. I don't know how much you know about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, but they give away a lot of money. They give away a lot of money to a lot of places who do a lot of really great things. And this is very interesting that he would actually say what he feels like. But I guess when you're kind of like going out on top, you don't really care anymore. Tell me what you think about him being able to kind of give away all of his money, all the foundation money by 2045. Who's going to fill that void that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has been doing this last, I don't know, 20, 40, I'm forgetting when they started, at least 20 years ago. It's very interesting that he would want it to go fast, right? And I'm not saying 20 years is fast, but it is a lot of money to try to distribute. This right here, stop the presses. If you have not liked this live stream, this is your chance, because this story, I know you have something to say. I know you have a comment or two to put into this live stream about this story right here, which happened yesterday. Trump names Jeanine Pirro interim U.S. attorney for D.C. Now, a lot of people might say, why? Are there no other attorneys than the ones that appear on Fox News? I believe that she has a sort of attorney record that gave her the prominence enough to make her a host on Fox News. But don't we have other people to choose from than just Fox News as sort of our pipeline into the Trump administration? It would seem so. But I guess not, because she's now going to be this interim attorney. My question for you, does she have to stop being on Fox News while she's the interim U.S. attorney? Because if she comes out and does a nightly newscast with her thoughts on all the different stories that are happening around, the Trump landscape, I might literally crash out because that would be beyond the pale. Let me see. Random consumer says there's a Google it, look up event. I have no idea what you're talking about. You have love. Oh wait, you love confirmation bias. Nobody is talking about me. Nobody's talking about me. Oh, okay. I'm talking to you. Miles Freeman is talking. Richard Copeland said hi. You guys can certainly let me know what your opinion is in the comments about this. I actually screenshotted a little bit of this article because he was announcing this yesterday. But the reason that this was interesting about the news, he kind of went on about her. She excels in all ways, praising her television career. Quote, in addition to her legal career, Jeanine previously hosted her own Fox News show, Justice with Jeanine, for 10 years and is currently co-host. There it goes. Somehow it just went away and it came back. But let me just say that in this sort of arena, you would think that there would be more people to choose from than just Fox News hosts that could fill this sort of interim spot, because the interim spot means that it's not going to be for very long. So there's a lot of people in our Justice Department that have probably been career Justice Department people that you could probably promoting within maybe, or even looking at the long list of people out there that do not work for Fox News. It's a very interesting time. Let's just put it that way. For every single sort of appointee to kind of go through the Fox News loophole. And I would say that that's not a good thing. Probably not a good thing. Let me go back to one thing that I was talking about yesterday. And this is gas prices in California. So I talked about a few things about California already, but I wanted to bring this up one more time because California has high prices for a lot of things. Gas is one of them. And this is a story from Newsweek. And I did a video yesterday about this because this is something that's going to happen. And if it doesn't affect us, I would be very surprised. There are two different sort of refineries that are supposed to be closing, one in 2025 and one in 2026, I believe. It's Phillips 66 and Valero. Apparently, Newsom has had his spokesperson basically say, we're trying to work with the refineries, blah, blah, blah. But if this doesn't happen, and if these refineries apparently go away, they have basically warned that the gas prices for, if we take away Valero, we take away, Phillips 66 and Valero, that could jump the gas to $6.43 per gallon, and then again to $8.43 per gallon. Now, I'm not sure how much you want to pay at the pump. If you want to put it in the comments, let me know how much you're paying for your gas per gallon at the pump, and I would be glad to switch places with you, because mine is about $5 per gallon. Sometimes people give a little bit of a discount when you have, if you pay in cash, right? There's like, you pay in cash, it's one price, you pay with a card, it's another price, because they have to like absorb the little transaction fees. But $5 is about where it's at. The average, I think it's like $4.89 or $4.59, something like that in California. That's way more expensive than a lot of places. And Donald Trump has been talking about how gas prices are so low. Gas prices are so low across the country. The average is down. And I'm like, not in California. So until you're coming to my state and bringing gas prices down along with those egg prices, then we can talk. But let me know what the gas prices are doing where you are, because here, they must think that we are all made of money and we all have all this money to pay for gas. But the other thing is, a lot of people do have electric vehicles. And so this isn't just a gas price issue. They're talking about it being a sort of energy crisis, okay? Miles says he's paying $2.58. Bless you. Bless you, Miles, because that's like almost $2.50 cheaper than me. Yeah, I hope that we can get to that place. I remember when I would go to Vegas, and it would just be so cheap out there. I'm like, oh my gosh. It also reminded me that basically everything, like you can get steak and eggs at like 2 a.m. in Vegas, and it's way cheaper than anything else. Miles says, in California, or you get paid more in California, so basically it's the same. So basically, or you make $16 an hour for working at McDonald's. I understand the logic. If you get paid more, then you're able to afford more, right? But when the housing prices are gouging you the way that they are, that sort of extra money that people think that Californians make and have, like in the reserve, it doesn't come out in the wash, because all of the things are higher. You know, all of the fees for like water and gas, and I'm talking about like gas for your house, and then food prices are higher. So everything is higher. So if we have housing crises, the rest of the money that you have for the rest of the month, you're not able to, you know, sort of afford those other things. And I understand that it all comes out in the wash, so to speak, but I don't really think that it does. It says, let's see, Renate says, you get paid $16 at McDonald's for unskilled labor. I actually don't know what the minimum, I should probably Google this, what the minimum wage is in California. California minimum wage 2025. Yeah, it's $16.50 per hour for California. So yes, you can go and work anywhere, I guess, and have that minimum wage in California be $16.50. Now, I'm going to caution you on this minimum wage thing, because a long time ago, I used to work at the Gap, and I went in there and I said, hey, I want a job. I want to work in retail. I want to work for the Gap. And this was at Hollywood and Highland. So if you lived here a long time ago, I was at the Hollywood and Highland location. It's no longer there. But I said I wanted to be paid a particular wage per hour. And they said, we would love to have you. Let me make sure that that's okay with HR. And they came back and they said, yes, we would love to have you. And then you know what they did? They didn't put me on the schedule very often. So while I was making more per hour than probably my other counterpart, I didn't work very often. So even if you have a high, you know, hourly wage, $16.50 per hour, even $20 an hour, if you don't work 40 hours a week, that doesn't make any difference. Okay, so a lot of the workers that are at McDonald's, or, you know, even in retail, these are part-time workers. These are not full-time employees. So they're not benefiting from the benefits, right? They're not getting full-time schedules. So they're having to find other part-time jobs to kind of make up those 40-hour work weeks. Just like I was. At one point, I ended up working at Sephora and at the Gap in Hollywood and Highland. So I had 2 part-time jobs, working both part-time jobs. And it doesn't make a lot of sense. If you're going to get paid more per hour, for me, they just didn't put me on the schedule very often. They were like, yeah, we love you. We love your work. We love your work ethic. We love what you bring. But we can't afford to give you 40 hours. So we can give you your per hour wage that you requested, but then they just didn't schedule you. So if you think that 1650 is, per hour is great, that's fantastic. But they're not going to give every single person the same work schedules. And so that's really hard for a lot of people who are going to have to make it up somewhere else. And then if you have two different jobs, let's say you have two, three different jobs, all of those work schedules are not going to jive with each other. And so you're going to end up making probably one employer upset because you have to call off because the other one wants you there, or you have to make yourself available at weird times. And then you're just burnt. You're fried because you're going from one job to the next and you have no time for you. So I would say that's amazing that people get to be paid that much, but the employers aren't doing like what you think that they would be doing for their employees. So yes, I'm glad that you brought that up. My horrible work experience. Anyways, there are so many things that I think that happened yesterday that I'm forgetting. But the one that I wanted to bring up is not about this, but it is about democratic messaging. So there was a girl who, it wasn't a girl, it was a guy that I saw yesterday. And I wanted to click on this because this is a story that I thought kind of gets into what we're about to be talking about. This is from 2 days ago or 3 days ago now. They're not going to be they're not going to be academically successful. Trump administration cancels $1 billion in mental health funding for schools. So a lot of the things that Donald Trump's administration is taking away are things that are really helping to fund people's well-being in addition to their sort of ability to work. And the reason that I brought this up is because of the headline, okay? So I saw this guy yesterday and he said, we should not be talking about Trump doing this, Trump administration doing this. Donald Trump is declining. Donald Trump has no sense of reality, right? Excuse me. Instead of saying Trump is this, Trump, whatever, it's the GOP. Okay, because they're allowing this to happen. Okay, so because they have the power of the purse in Congress, because they have the power to make law, okay, this is the part where Democrats are failing. It's the messaging behind Trump did this, Trump did that, Trump administration did this, Trump did this, instead of the GOP cancels $1 billion in mental health funding for schools. Because if they don't cancel it and they allow him to be the person who takes the credit of canceling it, then they get to, oh, that's Trump over there. He did that. Okay? Instead of the GOP and the Republicans owning it. Okay? So if you are a Democrat and you are able to change your messaging around Trump did this, Trump did that, Trump's crazy, Trump's whatever, and start saying Republicans canceled $1 billion of mental health funding for schools. Republicans just affirmed that they are backing Jeanine Pirro for the interim U.S. attorney for D.C. Republicans are sending immigrants to El Salvador. Republicans are allowing executive orders to go through without any allowing people to be detained without any due process and sending them to Libya or wherever they're trying to think about sending people to, right? And if that messaging shifts over to Republicans, that will be helping everyone in the midterms and in 2028, because they have to either go against him and say, no, not all Republicans are for this canceling of $1 billion or whatever the headline is, right? Not all Republicans want Jeanine Pirro to be the interim, blah, blah, blah. Not all Republicans, believe that students shouldn't have the right to voice their opinion and protest on campuses. Not all Republicans. And then they have to own the fact that they are standing in opposition to Donald Trump. So if it's not this, because the mainstream media is always Trump, 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 and Republicans aren't getting any of the blame, okay? They aren't debating in committee. They aren't bringing forth any legislation that will be bipartisan, okay? I I do believe that that there's a lot of people who could use these sort of things to say, yeah, Republicans aren't in my best interest. They're not being representative of what I think should be happening. And if Democrats are able to shift this messaging, because Trump can't do all of this stuff alone, right? He doesn't have the power. Even if he writes it on paper with his pen, that doesn't make it law. He doesn't make law, and he doesn't appropriate funds. So the Republicans in Congress and the Republicans in the Senate have a chance to disown all of what he's saying if they are forced to actually do it. So if we keep saying Trump did this and Trump did that and Trump did this, Trump's going to be gone very, very soon after he's out of office, and it will still be the Republicans in their seats. They will be able to say, that was him. He's totally different than us, except he's not, because they're letting him get away with all of this stuff because they're not actually saying, well, he doesn't control the purse, we do. No, they're just saying, oh, I guess we have to do that now, right? So if people in the Democratic Party can just listen up and start shifting your message away from Trump, because Trump is the distraction, right? He's just the figurehead of the horrible green-eyed monster, right? And really it's about all of the people who are backing it, not standing up to him, and they need to be held accountable. And if we can shift the messaging now, then maybe by the time the midterms come, people won't be able to run away and say, oh, we didn't do that. No, you did. You held his hand and you walked him through it the entire time. Robert in the comments says, don't forget your bills takes away $25,000 of that. Yes! Oh, don't forget when those student loans come due. No one will be going in their car because we won't be able to afford gas. Anyways, well, I really appreciate you guys joining me this morning. There are so many other stories, especially like the Pope and his first, I think he had a first service this morning. But definitely join me Monday through Friday in the mornings here on YouTube Live. And in the description, you should be able to see my Substack Live or my Substack profile. Definitely follow me on Substack because I do a Substack Live Monday through Friday in the evenings, kind of a wrap up. And if you subscribe to my channel here on YouTube, head on over to the community tab. I think I have at least 10 polls, 10 quizzes on there that I would love for you to take. There's ones that are about the baby bonus. There's one about student loans. I think there's 2 about student loans. There's one about AI. I definitely want to hear from you. If you head on over to the community tab, it's free. I just want to know what your opinion is. There's at least 10 different polls on there. If you could take that. And yes, I think that there are a lot of things that are good about providing your information for me so that I can tailor a lot of my content to what you care about the most. Yeah, so I hope you have a really good day. And I hope that when you go into the community tab to start doing those polls, if you want to leave a reason why, that's even better. If you say, if you click on, would you have a baby if you could get the baby bonus, and you say yes or no, and then you leave a description in the comments of like why you would do it. Like why or why not all those things. Because that really helps me. And I'm going to do a whole live stream on those polls next month. So I'm going to get through May and all the polls, and then we're going to do a live stream just talking about all the results of all the polls from May in June. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so have a really good day, you guys. Enjoy your weekend. And Amanda is the only person who told me that it is sunny and shining in Florida. So I hope you guys have a sunny and shiny day. And definitely come back. Come back and see me. Have a good one. Bye.